It's actually 14 minutes to 11 a.m. East African time. You are listening to Egerton Radio 101.7, serving the community. And a wonderful morning. Good morning to you all. It's Egerton Radio 101.7 from Nakuru, Kenya, and also those who are listening to us via our online radio on www.egerton.ac.ke / Egerton Radio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am joined here in the studio. I'll be able to allow him to introduce himself. You're having a guest here in the studio who is going to be able to share with us, talk to us, tell us his encounter, explain to us, we as the listeners, we as those who want to be educated this morning, on ways in which we are able to improve our agricultural production. We are able to improve our production as a small scale farmer, as a large scale farmer. Listening to us from Joro, from Naivasha, from Kericho, from Molo, wherever you are listening to us, or maybe you're following us through our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And it's really an honor having you on board. And so this morning we are going to be able to talk about beyond the open fields, greenhouses as a shield and solution for organic farming. And we are going to be able to talk on how greenhouses are being able to can be used or be incorporated into organic farming so that they may be able to improve the yield or agricultural production for those who are actually practicing organic farming, who actually depend on manufactured fertilizers or manufactured products for their agricultural production. So we are going to be able to dive in here at Egerton Radio 101.7. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Karibu sana into the show. Thank you so much for coming, for making time to be able to come and join us here at the show, Egerton Radio. Thank you so much. And so kindly would you be able to take this opportunity to be able to introduce yourself to our listeners, who you are, what do you do? Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Brian Yator Kipkech, and I'm an agriculture student from the University of Egerton. I'm actually from the main campus in Joro, and my occupation is I'm an agriculture student doing a course in animal health, production, and management. And this is something that have helped me to pursue my career in agriculture, to understand the relationship between the animals, the plants, and everything about agriculture. Yes.
And if I would be able to ask you, Mr. Brian, what really inspires you? What really inspired you to be able to venture into this field of agriculture?
Okay, thank you. So in this field of agriculture, there is a lot. And from since when I was a young person, I would like that in my future I'll become an agriculturalist, so that I will help our country to push forward these matters of agriculture, because we depend on agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of our country. So I love this agriculture because it's the source of food that we are eating, the food that we are consuming, and this food that we are consuming, it impacts a lot on our health. Yes.
So you say your inspiration began when you were a young kid.
Yes.
Wonderful indeed.
Yep.
And so what really made you after looking at that, what really made you pursue it? Like after having that inspiration, having that push that agriculture is the backbone of our country, the main source of food to our country. What after getting that inspiration, after getting that urge, what did you actually do? Because you say you were a child. Did you have a place to actually practice it that made you feel like you should be able to continue studying this agriculture so that you may be able to become somebody in the future?
Okay, thank you. So as we were young growing, there was some good yield in our farms, and with over some period of time, the good yield in most of the farms began to diminish in the production. So I just realized and studied in school why this this food production in our agricultural field is diminishing, why the food production is going down. So actually, I came to realize that there is the issue of the agriculture not being taken the way it is. So there is the issue of the people using excessive fertilizers and inorganic fertilizers that have interfered with our soil fertility and have impacted, and this has led to decrease in the production. So I decided to pursue this course in agriculture so that we can solve this thing in our country.
Wonderful indeed, such an inspiration that you had and something that motivated you. You found your self motivation.
Yes.
And so, without much ado, Mr. Brian, we want to dive into the topic of today, greenhouse system, on how it could be incorporated into organic farming practices so that we may be able to have high rise or high production or high yields uh, in the organic sectors, because we see that right now we are trying to champion organic farming because it's one of the ways of environmental conservation as compared to use of inorganic farming that actually it's actually degrading the environment. It's
Yes.
leading to a lot of demolition of the environment. You
Yes.
look at soil components, you look at the air that we breathe, you
Yes.
see. But so now we are trying to champion organic farming.
Yes.
And so right now here in the agricultural trends, we try to look at ways in which possible can we be able to share with farmers so that they may be able to improve their yields, so that may be able to improve and promote organic farming that they are actually practicing. And so so that those who are practicing organic also may be able to get some urge, some courage to also try and venture into the field. And
Yes.
so what is your knowledge about greenhouses and organic farming?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank you for coming up with this platform so that we talk about agriculture. So in this field of agriculture, there is a lot of curb in this information. People are lacking the technology and the information. You know, to improve our agriculture, we need to pass the information to our people. We need to improve our extension services to our people. And this platform of agricultural trends is a good platform. So in this organic farming now, organic farming is use of normal things that are environmental friendly. You are not going to use anything synthetic that is manufactured that's gonna harm the environment. You are not going to use the likes of GMOs. So in organic farming, we are trying as much as possible to minimize the exposure of our environment to things that will harm and degrade our environment and our soil. So in greenhouse is the best because greenhouse is a structure that is constructed so that the farmer is able to control the environment of the field. So in greenhouse, you are creating a micro environment. Greenhouse, you are using maybe for example, a polythene greenhouse, you are using a polythene to protect the light and create some microclimate inside the house. And in greenhouse also, you are able to select the soil that you are going to use inside the greenhouse to cultivate. So if you are coming from an area that the soils of your farm is not good enough, you can borrow soil from somewhere else and use it in your greenhouse. And in the greenhouse, we mostly encourage the use of organic manure. So this organic manure, you mix well with your soils and use them in your greenhouse. So this greenhouse is the best thing for this organic farming.
And if I may be able to ask Dr. Brian,
Yes.
would you be able to mention some of the types of greenhouses? I mean,
Yes. Okay, thank you. So the types of the greenhouse is based on the material that is made. So we have almost the three materials that are used to make the greenhouse as the that allows light to penetrate. We have some galvanized metals that are transparent. You can use them, and you can use also some polythenes. You can use also some glasses that are not that too much transparent, that they are tint, like the one that are used in maybe bathrooms. They are such special glasses that are used in greenhouse. And the frame you can make it out of using wood, or you can use a metal. Yes.
and so does it serve all small-scale farmers or large-scale farmers, or it serves both?
Okay. Greenhouse depends on your ability. So there is different types sizes of greenhouse, starting from that one that measures 14 by 25, and to the largest one that also can measure around 80 meters. It depends on the ability and the capital of the farmer.
And so it supports both.
Yes, it supports both.
And if I be able to ask here as we continue, Brian, what are the most significant ways in which greenhouses have impacted organic farming?
Okay, thank you. So greenhouse has maybe I can say it has the most beneficial thing about greenhouse. The benefits are more enough. So first one, in greenhouse, you are able to control what we call the climate inside there. In greenhouse, you are controlling the climate. You can control the temperature. You can control the humidity of your field, and also you can control the watering. So in greenhouse, the source of water is not rain. This water is the water that you are irrigating your plants there, and it's water efficient. It uses less water, so it can solve the issue of water. So in greenhouse, we encourage farmers to have what we call a strategy in water harvesting. You can use tanks, you can use concrete tanks or underground tanks. During rain, as we know, the rain is always seasonal. So during times of heavy rain, you can collect enough water for your farm so that you will be using those water in your greenhouse. So this water, when you have collected your water, it's now your role to take this water and water your plants. So this watering of your plants, you use a irrigation system that enable you to minimize the waste of water. And the best irrigation method that we normally use in greenhouse is drip irrigation method. And the good thing about also greenhouse and watering, you can also mix the the water with some organic fertilizers. So you mix them and then you water your plants. So it's very easy.
Very right. And so, if I would be able to ask, we all have the greenhouse type of farming, and then we also have the open field type of farming.
Yes.
How would you be able to rate the greenhouse farming and also open house farming, in other words?
Okay. So in open farming, you are using a field that is open. So this field, anything can enter. Be it insects, be it birds, be it disease that is carried by wind, it can easily attack your crops. Unlike when you are using a greenhouse. In greenhouse, this is a confined environment. So you are close, the greenhouse is well enclosed environment. This environment, you can monitor pests infestation in your greenhouse. So in most of the time, the microclimate there in greenhouse discourage the growth of pests in the greenhouse. So definitely you may not even have to use some pesticide to control these pests because the climate itself discourage the growth of diseases and pests. So also in greenhouse wind. Also in greenhouse you are able these microclimates that is found in greenhouse is able to damage this pest because you know greenhouse it allows light from the sunlight to enter in and blocking the wavelength of the light that is shooting out long wave. So in sunlight we have the short wave and the long wave. The short wave is the one that comes to the surface of the earth, and the long wave is the one that goes back to the space. So when the short wave enters the greenhouse, the long wave is blocked by that polythene sheet. This UV it will create a maximum number of UV light and the infrared radiation. This infrared radiation actually damages the pests and discourage them. So your plants will grow very well, and you will produce the best quality vegetables or fruits.
On your preference that you have actually mentioned, Mr. Brian, on your preference of organic farming in greenhouse system as compared to open field system, you've actually mentioned a lot of factors that are actually being promoted or which are being eliminated by the greenhouses.
Yes.
And if I would be able to ask, in other words, what is this main disadvantage that actually farmers that are practicing open field system are being faced with that actually greenhouses eliminate the main ones, maybe two or one?
Okay. So you know in this era of climate change, we are having a lot of climate change that have impacted much on our soils, on our agricultural field. So these open fields of ours, it's very susceptible to the climate change and these effects of the climate change. So compared to the greenhouse has specific microclimate that is controlled by the owner of the greenhouse. As this greenhouse is designed in a way that it can help the farmers to cope with the issues of the climate change that is faced in open fields.
Mm-hmm.
So in greenhouse, you can control your climate, and then your crop production will increase definitely because you are not facing this climate change effect. Yep.
So the main actually disadvantage that greenhouses eliminate is mostly climate change.
Yes.
Very right. And so this one actually uh, gives me more points because this week I was actually in a farm where they are practicing tomato growing in a greenhouse, and the person was like, "Do you know one thing that we are actually facing as we as farmers here of tomatoes? We actually have we actually planting our tomatoes near the river." And one disadvantage of these tomatoes being planted near the river is that they get destroyed by cold. But in greenhouse, there is somehow in which you are able to control and prevent that cold, because somehow greenhouses also provide some conducive warmth. There is some warmth that greenhouses provide that is favorable for the growth of tomatoes.
Yes.
And so, if we be able to continue, you've actually been able to talk about the advantages uh, and the disadvantages of the advantages that greenhouses have over open field system. On the other hand, we know that everything has both sides. What are some of the challenges that one may face using these greenhouse systems, this greenhouse farming kindly?
Okay. So in greenhouse system, the greatest challenges that farmers face is the disadvantages of the initial cost. Constructing a greenhouse is very costly at the start. But the best part of that disadvantage, that greenhouse is very costly, the best part of that is that greenhouse can last for up to 40 years.
One greenhouse
one
can last.
greenhouse can last up to 40 years. So this is the important part. But in these 40 years, you may actually be required to change maybe some part of the polythene, but that is a minor changes. But the old greenhouse can withstand for up to 40 years. And the cost that you are using to construct, you can get your returns in 5 years. So you have 35 years of enjoying your profits in this greenhouse. So another thing about greenhouse is that the greenhouse, there is that too much hot condition in the greenhouse. So this one, it needs a farmer to ensure that his greenhouse is well ventilated. So in your greenhouse, you must include a good ventilation system so that you control this warmness, excessive heating in your greenhouse. On the other hand, if your greenhouse is infested by pests, it's very easy. That is a challenge in the greenhouse, that there is the pest infestation. So it's very easy for you to control this pest because you can use the excessive light, or you can opt to other in organic pesticide. Don't use inorganic. Organic pesticide that is made of some plants, maybe pyrethrum and other plants.
So there are also organic ways of eliminating these pests.
Yes.
That one is coming up very shortly. We'll be able to handle that. You'll be able to explain to us in details.
Yep.
But continuing, let me give you time to be able to sort out the challenges that one may face kindly.
Okay. So in this also, in greenhouse, another challenge there is maybe you don't have good source of water. So most farmers, they face this challenge of pumping water from too far source of water.
Yes.
This is costly. You are using a machine to pump water, and this machine is costly also. But this costly, with time, you can get those profits and returns for what you've invested in. Yes.
And so, if you'll be able to sample out one or two escape routes for these challenges that people face kindly.
Okay. The escape routes for the challenges of the greenhouse is that you need to make sure that in every greenhouse that you are setting in, make sure you are setting in for the right production of the right crop, because the costly of the initial cost is always common. So these challenges, for example, pesticide, I've seen people using some biological ways to deal with this pest.
Okay.
Yes. So, and also this challenge of water, you can do what we have said earlier, that you do what we call water harvesting. Yes.
Very right indeed. And could you be able to mention, now digging into it now, the practical part of them, could you be able to mention some crops that actually are mainly supported by greenhouse? Maybe someone may be interested to venture into these greenhouse systems. Would you be able to mention to us one or two crops that are mainly planted in greenhouses?
Okay, thank you. So greenhouse is a system that supports most of the vegetables and some fruits. So greenhouse mostly you can use it to grow tomatoes, you can use it to grow the cucumbers, you can use it to grow the strawberries, you can use it to grow kales, spinaches, and this is it produces the highest quality and the vegetables that do not have residues of some pesticide, because you are using purely organic agriculture.
And says of these plants, let us take an example of tomatoes. How does greenhouse actually contribute to the success of tomatoes?
Okay, so greenhouse, tomatoes face mostly diseases when they are in an open environment. So in greenhouse, the way of growing tomatoes, you are, I've seen most of the farmers, you can use some ropes that help these tomatoes to hunger and while as they go up. So these tomatoes, the fruits do not come contact with ground, so it will produce the best quality fruits, and also it will not have that scorching effect of some sunlight. And also the fertilizer, fertilizing there, you use an organic fertilizers. These organic fertilizers, most of the manures, they don't have this scorching effect compared to the other fertilizers. So you will be producing the best quality tomatoes in a greenhouse compared to the open field that it faces a lot of, it can face this cold, if rains, but in greenhouse there is no rain. All water is dependent from the ones that you are watering in.
Very wonderful indeed, very wonderful insights. And talking about beyond the protection part of greenhouses, are there some part, because you have actually talked about the scorching effects, protecting them against diseases, are there I mean, beyond protection, how do greenhouses also contribute to higher yields and also improve qualities? Is there a bigger or healthier or more consistent harvest that actually greenhouse contribute to them?
Thank you.
To cultivation, sorry.
So actually, in greenhouse, you are controlling the growth of your tomatoes, for example. So normally in field, when you are growing tomatoes in an open field, these tomatoes, you are growing it, and the maximum harvest of tomatoes in field can be 1 to 2 weeks. Unlike in greenhouse, your tomato tree crop will continue growing up and up. So you can harvest your tomatoes for up to 1 month, unlike in an open field. So greenhouse, the tomato plant, as it grows, the lower part, the fruits will mature. So you are harvesting, and the upper part is still growing up. So you will continue harvesting for that long time, unlike in the field. So that is the best advantage of a greenhouse.
So greenhouse ensures consistent harvesting.
Yes.
of actually crops in I mean in your farm.
And also quality quality yields.
So it's assured that if you plant, let's say, tomatoes in a greenhouse, there is assurance that you'll be able to have consistent yield and also quality yield.
Yes, and also in greenhouse you are not depending on seasons.
Mm.
Greenhouse is seasonless because you can grow over the over each and every time of the year. So you can grow from January to December. You are producing your tomatoes. Yes.
And you said something about pest control earlier.
Yes.
Are there some biological pest control methods that may be effectively used in a greenhouse, and which ones are they, and how will they be used effectively?
Okay. So there is biological control of pests. So the the biological control of pests is very easy. You are using the enemies of the pest to control them. So the enemies of the pests, they feed on the pests. So one good example is the use of ladybirds. So in some farmers, they grow they culture and grow the ladybirds. So these ladybirds, they are grown and then released to the greenhouse. So when they enter the greenhouse, they will go and feed on the pests, the pests, particularly the habits. So these are very good biological control, and it's very easy.
So the ladybirds do not affect any crop.
They do not affect the crop.
And
They target to feed on the pests.
which pest exactly do they feed on?
Habits.
Hmm.
Yes.
Only that, or are there other more?
It can feed on those habits and some other small pests. Mostly it's habits.
So let's talk about an example of tomatoes.
Yes.
A tomato greenhouse
Yes.
farm. What are some biological controls methods or measures could be able to be put in place to be able to fight pests inside there?
Okay. So the biological control method is you can use also the legs of. I've seen some farmers, they do something known as ferric, ferric iron. So they create some rusts that can particularly discourage some 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 pests. Yes.
Okay, very right indeed. And also, you remember when we were starting the show, I was able to actually remind you that we are actually championing environmental protection. I mean, how does greenhouse system enhance environmental benefits? What are the environmental benefits of practicing organic farming in a greenhouse?
Okay. So definitely, greenhouse is the best thing to impress in our agricultural farming. So the environmental benefit of using a greenhouse, you are able to protect you are able to minimize the use of inorganic fertilizers that could literally damage our our soils and bring down the nutrients and degrade them. So when you use the greenhouse, you are minimize this use of these fertilizers. Hence, you are ensuring the health of the soil, and you by using organic manure, you are doing what we call you are bringing back the soil to its original state because you are introducing the bacteria that were damaged by these synthetic fertilizers, synthetic pesticide. So you are actually recapturing the lands. Yes, you are rehabilitating them. Yes.
So in your preference, you say a greenhouse system, greenhouse farming should actually be promoted and be actually adopted by many farmers.
Yes.
And someone may be interested. I want you people to talk about the returns that one may get after purchasing or adopting the greenhouse farming, because you know that right now people are looking at the profit that may come after being able to adopt this system into your farm.
Yes. So the smallest greenhouse, it can cost you for maybe up to 161,000 in construction. but the returns that you can get from that greenhouse per year, it will be around 70,000. So mostly to that's the highest to maybe some 50,000. So with time, as you use this greenhouse, provided you grow the right vegetables like tomatoes, like the cucumber, that is well well marketable. So with some time, you will be able to recover this money. With the highest greenhouse will cost you up to 600,000, depending on the size. This is the bigger one, and this the bigger one you can grow very. This is around the bigger one can be around 100 meters by 40 meters. So this you can grow a large scale of tomato production. You can partition them you can grow a certain area cucumbers, you can grow certain area strawberries, you can grow certain area some kales, spinaches, and the returns from your greenhouse is consistently because vegetables are those the kind of the food that is consumed each and every day. Anybody you cannot go for for maybe a week without eating vegetables. So this greenhouse is the best thing. So you can get them as much as return as depending on the effort that you are putting in.
And so, talking about the innovative part of it, do you see that there are different types of innovations that may come later in things to do with greenhouse establishment?
Yes, I think there will be a lot of innovation there. There is innovation, maybe the greenhouse. I've had even these greenhouse that are they use nets. You know, in a polythene greenhouse, it cannot allow birds to enter, some insects to enter. So mostly, I've seen some people doing some innovation now. In some greenhouse, they are helping the flowers to pollinate. Some water in a bottle and spraying to the flowers so that they help the flowers to pollinate. And also I've seen some they're using the nets that they are used to, it will allow some insects such as bees greenhouse and pollinate the plants.
Okay.
Yes.
And so, in conclusion, now, what generally could you be able to say generally on about greenhouse system and organic farming? Just in conclusion.
Okay, in conclusion, greenhouse farming is the best thing to venture into. Because when you see greenhouse, it will minimize the cost that you are using to buy these synthetic fertilizers. The synthetic fertilizers are actually expensive. Some are imported, and they have a greater impact to our soils, degrading the nutrients, killing the microorganisms that are found in soil. So we need to embrace this use of the greenhouse because it will. You just need to use the soil, the good soils you mix with your manure, even though you are in an area that the land is so you have a rocky land, you can just construct a greenhouse on top of it and then bring some good soils from somewhere else and then install your watering system,
Yes.
do your water harvesting, and this greenhouse will take you far. You will have an endless production of your vegetables, of your fruits in the greenhouse. The, whether it is which season, whether it's rainy season, you will still produce something for yourself. So greenhouse is a good thing. We need to impress the extension services. We need to also to reach out to our government. Maybe we invite some foreign investors to invest on our people. We can do even in this greenhouse because it's costly and us as most part of we have the enough land to be cultivated. We can use some companies, they can come in and then they talk with the farmers, then they install their greenhouse. so that they will taking some percentage of profit from the farmers with time, and then with some time, maybe 10 years, the greenhouse will be fully owned by the farmer. So we need to take this thing to another level. We need to talk to our government, so that, because I see even greenhouse can even solve this issue of the of job jobless in our country. It can help us to make our youths, to entice our youths and bring them to agriculture field, so that, because youths, they love something that they see it's working. So us as youths, we need to use this greenhouse to bring them to agriculture, and then we take our country to the next level.
Very right indeed.
Only the best music and radio land. This is 101.7, the hottest radio station. So hot, the competition can't touch. Egerton Radio.
It's 101.7, serving the community. Thank you so much. After having such an interactive session, we say thank you so much to Mr. Brian. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are really humbled and honored to have you on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are, and it has been a humble pleasure. It's your Agricultural Trends program. My name is Joshua. Thank you so much indeed. And after this break, we shall be right back.